imagine you're Prime Minister of a right-wing country. Your country is right-wing, but you want to go further. I hereby demand the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom is appointed for life. And would you look at that, we already have the bloody pacifists protesting against us. And sadly, the law was not passed. So what's a wannabe dictator to do? Sit there in 10 Downing Street while the world passes him by? Well, I'll tell you where to start. And just like that, with absolutely no laws stopping us, welcome to the Army Party. We're authoritarian, we're military, and we were not elected at all. With elections coming in 472 days, we need to shore up our defences fast. Forgot that I have to appoint a new cabinet. This is going to be a lot of clicking. Now that that's out of the way, we can start preparations. Now, we only have 21% of the seats in the House of Commons. So, we're going to call an election ourselves so that we can get more of it. But first, we horrifically defund the military. Now this may seem counterintuitive due to our right-wing military origins, but it'll all make sense later. We also go through and gut all essential services. Healthcare. We annihilate all unemployment benefits. We take away all internet censorship. We totally defund all transport services. We defund all children's facilities. Except that one, I really can't bear myself to click that button. We gut the Secret Service. We absolutely annihilate police funding. This one's very important later. Last but not least, we absolutely fuck up the exchange rate. As you can see, we now have 5.74% growth in our GDP because of all the services we've gutted, but that's not why we did this. It will become very clear why we did later. And look at that, we have mass riots and demonstrations and sit-ins all over the country. Oh, I think Mr. Gary Sands has messed up here. But you know, he's going to take a step back and do the right thing. We propose fresh elections. Now we can all solve our problems in a democratic forum. Well, due to our horrific human rights situation now, we have been excluded from the G7, which has now turned into the G6. No matter, this is all part of the grand plan. If we zoom out, we can also see that the entire world hates us, except for Saudi Arabia, Egypt and Sudan, so we're clearly doing something right. It seems we have been deposed by the House of Commons. It's a setback, but sacrifices are necessary for Gary Sands' vision of a strong Britain to move forward into the future. Look, the big American and Chinese banks think we're doing a great job with our budget surplus. Now we have elections in 63 days, and I'll show you exactly what we'll do to gain power again. First, we start a fundraiser. Then, we start setting out our programme. It's very important in politics to be honest with your viewer base, so we're going to tell them we're going to appoint ourselves for life. We promise to start using a lot more fossil fuels again. We promise to ban labour unions outside of one that we directly control. And we made 9.18 million in profits with our fundraiser campaign. And there are other things we can do to get money as well. We beg the local billionaire to fund us.
Yes, it's a good idea. I'll do my best.
Weird that was the left-wing billionaire, but I'm not going to question where we get our cash from. We promise to legalise the death penalty.
It is a fundamental right for each citizen to be able to depend on a fast, efficient judicial system with constant fairness.
We promise to let 15-year-olds drive cars. We propose to wipe out the minimum wage. We promise to indoctrinate your children. We promise to make the maximum school age 12 years old.
You are well aware of my deep commitment to individual and collective freedoms.
We send a letter to Denmark asking if we can please purchase the Faroe Islands. Lastly, we promise to forbid contraception. Now, as we can see, our programme popularity has tanked down to the Mariana Trench. Now you may think, Megan, are you tanking this election on purpose? You're goddamn right I am. It'll all become clear why soon.
The state must not engage as much as it can in societal reforms for purely avant-gardist reasons. On the contrary, it is necessary to consciously take into account the influence of heritage and our cultural wealth in shaping our major decisions.
Fucking hell, this is bleak. Denmark said no to selling the Faroe Islands, by the way. Our very last course of action is to donate all of our weapons to a different country. We give North Korea all of our tanks. We give Switzerland our navy. We give Russia all of our air force. We give Fiji all of our missiles. We also give Fiji the missile launchers, obviously. And we give Taiwan some artillery. We have to give it to some good countries as well. If you ever get this message in the game, you're probably playing it wrong. And now Ukraine is begging us for weapons. Let's just say you'll find them soon enough, Ukraine. With just 11 days until the election, our chances of winning are looking... Oh my god, we've broken even. We've broken even on popularity. Oh, yeah. So, tomorrow evening we have a TV debate. Well, we know what I think about non-conventional gas and oil. We're going to make it so that there's no such thing as a school vacation. As a final promise, we're going to build a stadium that has 150,000 seats. And look at that, 87% of people thought that the other contestant was much better than me. Which means, alarmingly, 13% of people totally agreed with everything I just said.
They have to say.
My dear fellow citizens, the voters have spoken, and I cannot argue with that. I would like to thank all those who believed in me. I would like to tell them that the battle has not been in vain, because I will be back in the political arena tomorrow, making my voice heard. We are sad tonight, my friends, but I promise you we will be back here in the not-too-distant future, celebrating our victory.
And with that, we are now a democratic opponent of the government. As you can see, we now have 55 seats, and the Conservative Party has a massive majority of 64%. I don't think we're going to be winning any elections anytime soon. So perhaps it's time we took matters into our own hands.
We were surprised by your suggestion the party should operate illegally. But under the circumstances, you may be right, and perhaps our movement would be better off underground. The party is behind you and supports you.
With that, we are now a terrorist organisation. Welcome to the British Patriotic Front. We have 10.5 million supporters and 1,730 people willing to fight for us. We have access to an Irish diplomat. Hopefully he can fund us or give us something in support. We also have access to the Tajikistan branch of ISIS. We also have the contact details of a Conservative politician in Ireland's ruling party. This should be a great help. We'll start by investing some money into the security of our network, so MI5 cannot infiltrate us. We'll also put some money into infiltration, so we can hopefully infiltrate the government and use them for our own purposes. We'll also put £1 million into a recruitment programme. This was all part of the plan. Remember how we absolutely gutted the military? Now Britain only has 48,500 soldiers to fight us with, as opposed to the 200,000 they start the game with. Remember how we gutted the police? Every time a protest happens, now it has a much higher risk of turning into a riot. Remember how we defunded healthcare and education and all other public services? Now the country will fall apart even if we don't do anything, and this gives us the perfect opportunity to go forward. All that has happened so far is our leaders and staff have hidden. We don't have any soldiers on the board, and we don't have any presence in the UK outside of a few dingy basements and camps in the wilderness. So we'll have to build up some soldiers if we're going to take this bad boy on. At any time we feel comfortable, we can launch an uprising in a city and enter into open conflict with the government, but we'll need to build up our forces first. Now that we're talking to the Irish diplomat, there's a lot of things we can do. We can ask him to put us in touch with an Egyptian diplomat, who very much might be favourable to our cause. We can ask him to fund us, and in extreme cases, we can ask him to submit a resolution to the UN, take military action against the country, or give us weapons. Now we have to talk to the leader of Tajikistan, ISIS. Talking to other terrorist leaders gives you the option to talk to other terrorist leaders and form a large web of networks of terrorists who will fund and give you mercenaries. The primary gameplay loop of being a terrorist in this game is much less combat, as it is weaving a web of contacts across the world. This is interesting. We appear to have been murdered by our own lieutenants. We appear to have been misgendered in the newspaper as well. Fascinating. No matter, we'll carry on with a new person. Our recruitment campaign, for which we paid £1 million, only resulted in 60 new recruits. That's disappointing. A lot of these terrorist leaders aren't willing to help us off their own backs for no reason, so we have to grease the wheels a bit. We're going to pay another £1 million to bribe the Egyptian diplomat. And just like that, he's agreed to give us weapons, and he's willing to fund us. And for a £1 million bribe, we just got 4 million back. That's what we call profit. We're going to invest 3 million into another recruitment campaign, and the Egyptian diplomat came through and just donated 475 rockets to us. They'll be useful later. But here's the thing. Without being in open conflict with the government, our only source of income is donations from foreign countries, political parties and terrorist networks, which we're just really not getting at the moment. If we were in open warfare, we could show the people of this country that we have what it takes to take on the government, and we could start taking hostages and looting to get spoils of war. So maybe it's time we did something big. We're going to rise up in Cardiff, the capital of Wales in this game. It only has a few Air Force bases nearby for the enemy to attack us from, whereas say Plymouth, Southampton and London all have military bases in the vicinity, so this is our safest bet. Let the Second British Civil War begin. We are now officially at war with the United Kingdom, and the government's strained financial military really is not going to be able to put up much of a fight against us this time. We send all of our forces forward to the military base to nip this in the bud quickly. We also send a detachment to rob the local bank. This will give us millions upon millions of pounds to spend in the future. We also send a few soldiers to loot the local museum. That will also give us plenty of riches, alongside a small force to raid the local police HQ to rescue the prisoners held there who can join our cause for later. Looting the museum in Cardiff just gave us £7.25 million, and looting the bank just gave us £36 million. With that, Cardiff is now under our control, and we are in open warfare against the government. And with £45 million in spoils, things are about to get a lot easier for us. We spend more money on securing the network, more money on funding our infiltration of the government, and much more on launching a recruitment campaign now that we've shown ourselves to be a credible threat. As a rebel movement, our greatest strength is our decentralization and our stealth, so we send out a few soldiers to create camps in the wilderness so that even if Cardiff falls again, we won't be left entirely empty-handed. We also send a few soldiers to take local power plants, both wind turbine farms and nuclear power plants, so that we can steal the energy and sell it. But look, a British tank comes our way. We just lost 200 men dealing with that tank. Jesus. We bribe a Ghanaian diplomat, and he agrees to fund us and give us mercenaries. Guinea only gave us 92,000. It's better than nothing, but it's not in the millions like I was hoping. Our recruitment campaign has given us 172 new arrivals, alongside 43 Ghanaian mercenaries, an Irish transfer of 4.3 million, and Guinea also gave us 8 gunships as well. That's invaluable in this game. With our securing of the Welsh countryside, Wales is now officially part of our territory. If we really wanted, we could propose a peace treaty and become an independent Wales. But I think we can aim a lot bigger than this, don't you? Suddenly, a force of 3,000 British soldiers moves in on the border to attack us. There's a lot of choices of what we could do. First things first, we save the damn game. We send 8 of our gunships to strafe the area. Hopefully, we can weaken them before they reach Cardiff. Looking at our income, we make 3.3 million per month in all the ransoms, trafficking and extortion that we can do. We also have 1.1 million through the territorial resources we have from controlling all of Wales and the various power plants that we've stolen. The Irish diplomat was also kind enough to send us 9 tanks. Isn't that something lovely? The helicopters we sent to take out the British attack force worked. And with tanks on their way to Cardiff, we've never been more secure. For the purposes of intelligence, it is a good strategy to send one man to a city or military base so that when he dies, he can relay to you how many soldiers are in the city. As we can see, Bristol is guarded by 145 soldiers and 1 tank. We can certainly send a big enough force to take Bristol now. Looking at the casualty counts, for a loss of only 328 soldiers, we've killed 4,107 British soldiers. That's an amazing ratio and speaks a lot about how this war is going to go, I think. "1,000 British soldiers move into our territory. We manoeuvre our tanks to a nearby camp so that they can intercept them if they move towards Cardiff. We send a soldier to seize a nearby wind farm on the north coast of Wales, and the British Army appears to intercept it before it disappears from the map. Our infiltration cell gives us an amazing target, a sympathetic artist by the name of Simon Gilbert. We also send an army to seize a wind farm on the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. They have to use ships to get there, which reduces their stealth, but by using this diversionary tactic, we can hopefully draw out the army in Belfast and seize it. It appears the Labour Party has won the next election. I wonder if they'll increase military spending as much as they have in real life. We bribe Simon Gilbert into putting us in contact with a close friend of the head of state. That 1,000 strong army we talked about? It appears is heading straight for Cardiff. We intercept it with 9 tanks and wipe it off the map, but we lose 6 tanks in the process. See, this is why you fund your security cell. We just eliminated a bunch of British agents that have infiltrated us. That'll teach the bastards to come to us. Judging by the fact that when we started, the British army had 48,000 soldiers, we've killed almost 5,000 of them, but I feel like we're not quite making enough momentum. Another 1,200 British soldiers enter my territory. It feels like I'm never going to get anywhere if I keep having to fend off these attacks like this. I decide to do something rogue. You see, there's absolutely no rule that dictates you have to stay within your own country when you're running a rebellion. How about we branch out a bit? The Isle of Man is merely a dependency of the United Kingdom and is therefore unplayable in this game, but that means the game regards it as almost defenceless, so we are marching for Douglas. We also send a token force to St. Helier on the Channel Islands, just in case the Isle of Man doesn't work out. Rebel forces land on the Isle of Man on the 3rd of August. At 9 o'clock on the 4th of August 2023, Rebel forces enter Douglas. Infantry arrives the following day and march towards the bank. The bank is seized and £2.25 million are looted. The Museum of Douglas is looted for £451,000. Rebel forces start storming the Isle of Man's government palace. Rebel forces start infiltrating the President's bunker. It is inevitable that within the next few days the Isle of Man will fall. At 5:05 in the morning, on Wednesday the 16th of August 2023, the Isle of Man surrenders to rebel forces. On Friday the 18th, the surrender armistice is signed, and Manx forces across the Isle of Man surrender. The rebel leader makes a speech from the balcony of the Manx presidential palace.
Thank you, my friends. This is a victory for the people. Long live the revolution.
There was only one casualty during the Isle of Man conflict. Now, as opposed to a simple right-wing military movement, we are now the official rulers of the Isle of Man. Now that we're back in control of a country, we have to make our cabinet. In exchange for £1 billion in restitutions and the return of Cardiff to the British state, peace is declared between the Isle of Man and the United Kingdom. Now, you may think that we are now living in exile in Douglas, and that we must keep the home fires burning until we can return to London and set ourselves in 10 Downing Street. Perhaps, but look at it this way. Now, we have 88,622 people to do whatever we want with. Please note, the fact that the Isle of Man is unplayable in the base game without conquering it as we have done here may lead to glitches. Do not try this at home, or do if you think it's fun. Looking at the Manx Parliament, we have all 24 seats. 100% of the vote. Anything we say goes. Now that's what I call dictatorship. As you can see, we have demonstrations and strikes in the street. This will not do. Now that we're in charge of the nation and there's no one to stop us, it's time to build our state. As promised, we set the nomination of government to appointed for life. We put statues, portraits, and likenesses of ourselves all over our territory. We introduce indoctrination of school children. We lower the maximum school age to 12 years old. We remove school vacations. We forbid criticism of the state. We build a monument dedicated to me. We build a memorial to the thousands that died to make this a reality. We let the 15-year-olds drive. We ban contraception. We don't need to ban abortion because apparently it's already illegal in the Isle of Man. Editor, Google that. We give people £71 a month for having 3 children. We don't change the age of consent law at all because Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus fucking Christ, 20 years old on the Isle of Man? Editor, Google that. We set the age of criminal responsibility at 0 years old. The moment you're born, you could be a thought criminal. We institute a single state-controlled labour union. We ban the right to strike. We make ID checks strong. We double the amount of surveillance cameras in the country. We introduce mass internet censorship. We put the King of the United Kingdom under surveillance just in case. We put justice totally under state control. We propose a law to legalise the death penalty. Aggravated robbery now always has a prison sentence of 60 years. We remove all restrictions on the use of facial recognition software in public spaces. We implement a Chinese-style social credit system. We build 7 new prisons, each with 270 cells in them. We introduce a stringent and exacting immigration policy. We don't need to change this setting. It's very selective and very controlled with quotas by default. We introduce like super strict naturalization immigration regulations. We incorporate Christian religion into our constitution. We monitor and restrict all religions. I don't know what the correct thing to do in this situation is. Every single association is dependent on the state. And we make Parliament have no real power. Our Minister for Homeland Security invites us to send the military to intervene on sit-ins. I think so.
Do you wish to send in the army to disperse the demonstrators?
If I ever say no to that, Howard, fucking kill me because I've been replaced by an alien. And as you can see, after the lynching of our previous president, we now have President Sarah Jackson, appointed for life. You can also see we only appear to have 4 soldiers in our army. What's a dictatorship to do? Well, I'll tell you what. We simply buy the entire stock of mercenaries. We also make sure that we declare martial law so that we don't have any more unrest for the duration of our presidency. As a result, soldiers and our new mercenaries march through the streets. Now no one can assemble against us. In order to dissuade foreign invasion, minefields are laid on all of the Isle of Man's coasts. Unfortunately, literally every single organisation that we banned has become a terrorist group, but seeing as a lot of them only have 1 member, I'm not too scared. We also applied to join the United Nations, just so we have a bit more leverage in global politics. The various strikes across the country are, shall we say, dealt with. 3 months of jail time? What was the goddamn point of legalising the death penalty? Honestly. It turns out our human rights record means we can't be accepted into the UN. It looks like we'll have to find other methods of self-defense. Oh, now the UN wants to tell me what to do. Make up your damn mind, Ambrosio. I'm gonna start chatting shit about the UN. The Agricultural Labour Union threatens us in the press with a wave of bloody attacks. Honestly, this is what happens when you let rogue elements run rampant in your country. And now that our grand plan is complete, all unions banned except for 1 under our control, all organisations existing entirely under our control, a mass army of mercenaries to increase our power projection, a well-fortified coastline, minimum wage reduced to literally nothing, civil liberties at a minimum, Martial law declared, there's just one thing left to complete the prophecy. In the interests of prosperity and security of this new state, the Isle of Man shall be reorganized into the first Manx Kingdom.
Undeniably, you have inside you the founding values of society, such as love for family and respect for parents. May the heavens support you and your actions.
Honestly, in this game, if the National Family Committee President is supporting you, you have fucked up so royally. All hail King Andrew of House Pebbergan! And there you have it. That's how to go from Conservative Prime Minister to weird authoritarian coup-monger to rebel hiding in Wales to King of the Isle of Man. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for watching. This is Megan2185. Thank you for watching.